when you were a paediatrician in, was it classic where, when you said you went to that meeting to meet the team, and they were like, so normally you get the baby, they get a bit of a clean down and then immediately put onto skin.
Yeah.
And that's what I know normally happens. Yeah. Was that what they said would happen to you?
Absolutely not. No, they said because of a heart condition, she'll more than likely struggle to breathe. She'll need help with her breathing from straight away, which means you won't be able to hold her because we'll need probably to put her, to not incubate her, but put her in something that enables her to breathe easier. And more than likely, she'll need transferring straight to PICU, the sort of paediatric ICU.
Okay.
So, I was, as far as I was concerned, I wasn't going to see my baby. And that was really hard to deal with.
Right.
So that's how I dealt, like I say, that's how I dealt with it in my head, that she wasn't going to be my baby from the word go, that I would get my baby eventually.
And isn't it strange then? So at the beginning of the pregnancy, we have a sort of detachment because you're not feeling pregnant.
Yeah.
And then at the latter stages, you've got this potential disconnect. Because one of the things that I think happened, and I don't know the research on it, but certainly women who have postnatal depression issues and have feelings of detachment, particularly, I think there's a lot of mature parents where that can be a problem. I think right across the board, but certainly, like anything, the older you are, the more chance that these things can occur. And you were already having detachment.
Well, exactly. And often those feelings can be triggered by trauma at birth and things like that. And I had almost like, it was like planned trauma almost.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like all this awful stuff's going to happen. And you just got to deal with it. You've chosen to carry on with this pregnancy. Therefore, you're just going to have to deal with all of this stuff that could happen. And that's not a very easy thing to do in your head to process that. And it was tough. But the strangest feeling was, giving birth to Lucy, as it were. It's not really, it's a strange term when you have a planned section to say giving birth, because to me, giving birth is pushing a baby out. So it's a bit of an odd term. I don't know if there's a different term for it, but yeah. So for me, I was planning to not have my baby and all the rest of it put on me, and it was going to be potentially quite scary that she could be very poorly, is what they were warning us. So when Gareth lifted her out, and all her arms and legs went out like this, like a big sort of star, like starfish in the bed kind of, that kind of pose. She kind of posed out like that, laid right back, and then just screamed at the top of her voice.
Wow.
And John and I were like, whoa, because they said your baby might not cry, she might not make any noise, So John and I just looked at each other like, was that her? Was that in the next room? Like, was that?
Wow.
And it was such a shock. And then they put her on the side, this kind of like little unit thing at the side, and put the monitor on to check the heart rate. Well, it's a CO2 monitor, like we all found out in COVID, those things that go on your finger, check your blood oxygen, don't they, and all that kind of thing. So they put it on a toe, and I saw the nurse's face, because she was a slightly grey colour, but that's quite common with a section because they've kind of shocked into the world. But she was a little bit grey. And, of course, I'd seen, lots of pictures and done all my research and stuff and videos and things, and I was like, oh, God, And the nurse sort of turned around and looked quite stressed. And then the paediatrician said, let's just try that on her finger. And she moved the CO2 monitor onto her finger instead of a toe and gave her a bit of a rub like they do. And she pinked up and she said, that blood oxygen, absolutely fine. She's obviously okay because she's screaming the place down. I'm not needed here. Bye. And I was like, no, you can't go. You're supposed to take my baby with you. Where are you going? And I almost tried to get off the bed and then remembered that, like, nothing worked from my belly button down. Kind of like, sort of trying to grab her as she walked out the room. And the anaesthetist was brilliant. Like, anaesthetists are amazing people because they're the people at the top of the bed with lots of different operations, not just sections, where they have to calm the person down if they if you're awake during a procedure. but they have to be there to administer whatever drugs you need to have that procedure and potentially put you to sleep if they need to and all the rest of it. So they have quite a tough job. It's a balancing
act.
Yeah, and they've got to have a very good bedside manner because they've got to be kind of very calm with you, but also very aware of what's going on and very switched on with all the numbers around them. And I don't know how they do that job. It's incredible. And the anaesthetist we had was fantastic. She was a lovely lady. Like I say, she'd scared me to death when I met her a couple of weeks before. I don't think it was her that I met. I think it was a different person.
Right.
I think if I'd have met her, I wouldn't have been as frightened because she, even from before we went in the room, she came to see me in the room with the other women and was chatting to me and was really good at calming me down and all the rest of it. And she said, you don't need the paediatrician, Laura. Your baby's Lucy's absolutely fine. And John and I were just like, she can't be. Wow. She's got a heart condition and she needs help. And the next thing, as I'm saying all this and saying to the anaesthetist, that paediatrician needs to come back. How dare she leave, kind of thing. Me being me, getting all, aggy with this poor anaesthetist. Next thing I know, Lucy's plugged on my chest. Skin to skin, there she is. And there's a beautiful picture which I'll have to share. We were talking earlier, weren't we, about, getting some images up of Lucy, really. And it's a very intimate image of Lucy and I just after she was put on my chest, but it's a beautiful image.